by Stride is coming at him. Muera grabbed by Ronaldo, the Wizard, and he's won. The Wizard's done it again. Ronaldo, the Wizard, has beaten them in great guns. Ernagel in front of Caspian Prince. The Happy Prince battling back on the inside. Ernagel's back. Ernagel first, the Happy Prince second.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the UAE Racing Podcast. We're into week 6 now. We are here with Callum Medell and Gary Capewell, number one commentator in all of Dubai, if you'd like to say hello.
Evening.
Hello.
So, I think we'll crack on straight to it. Callum, who wins the Arabian race?
Gary, what wins the Arabian race?
First up.
Yeah, I mean, Mahmoud's well clear on the figures. We've got to give...
What did he win last time?
Well, he won round 1, didn't he? The Armat Tube Challenge. He's got to give £6 away to the others, but he's so far clear on the rating. I don't really think it'll make any difference. Marquez won at Jebel Ali, the 5 furlong race. He's very quick, this horse, but I'm not sure he stays a mile, so that would be the concern with him, or be probably one of the pace angles. Havel's been off the track since September 2014, but he got some really good form as a juvenile, as a 3-year-old in France. Obviously, he hasn't been seen for over 2 and a bit years. He was second in a Group 1 race at the big Deauville meeting in August of 2014, and he's been second in all 4 races, but considering some of the horses that beat him, he's got some decent form. But where's he been, and will he handle the surface? He probably will, actually, but I just think Mahmoud will be too good, and this is an ideal prep for him. I know he's got to give weight away, but this is an ideal prep for him before he goes back to try and retain his crown in the Kayala.
Yes, do you agree with those sentiments, Callum?
Yeah, we'll go for that.
That's 3 for Mahmoud in the opener. We'll move swiftly on to the Meydan Classic trial. I actually thought this was over dirt, and I've been saying on Twitter all day it's over dirt, so that just shows how much attention I've been keeping. His Highness Sheikh Hamdan has Dakik here. He won about 200 days ago, around about 200 days ago, and he won nicely by about 2 lengths in South Africa. He's got giving away 3 kilos because of the Southern Hemisphere, along with Megnas. Would you say he has a chance in this one, Gary?
Which one, Dakik or Megnas?
Oh, either will do.
Dakik obviously won on his debut at the Val back in May. We've not really seen him since, have we? So, it's just a question of how ready he will be. Well, at least Begnas has had a run, but it was a pretty disappointing run on the dirt here, and it's no surprise to see him go back on the turf, albeit he's stuck out on the wing a little bit. Obviously, Godolphin have got a very strong hand with Commander Cole, who actually beat Massam Star in his most recent outing. Massam Star has had 2 disappointing runs out in the Gulf, in the Qatar Derby and here on the dirt last time out, and again, not surprisingly, he goes back to the turf. Top score, I think I would probably go for, though, of all of those. The other Godolphin runner, who was 3rd on the dirt last time out, the 2,000 Guineas trial running on. He comes back to the turf. He's got the plunge draw in 1. I think Adrian Rees is an ideal jockey booking for him as well. Obviously, he was second in one of the big races in Turkey, wasn't he? Last September. Again, didn't quite get up on that occasion. That was over 6 furlongs, so but he'd only beaten ahead. But after that, he ran in a couple of races. I think he was beating odds on, wasn't he? One of them, he may well have been, but I think just going back on the turf will help him. So it's an open-ish sort of contest. I was just looking at the prices at the moment to see he's 5-1 second favourite. I think he's in each way better than nothing in that sort of price. I think he'll definitely be in the frame. So top score each way at 5 will do me.
Fair enough, yeah. Personally, I think Murdif is quite overpriced, 9-1. 3rd in a Group 3 at the Cairo over 6.5. Possibly could do better over further. There any you like in this one, Callum?
I think it's probably between the Godolphin pair. Both have got pretty useful form. I think Commander Cole, without doubt, has the most potential. I mean, he was really quite impressive when he won at Wolverhampton over a mile back in November, beat Massam Star that day, who's also in the field. and didn't show much on dirt, but will be much better off back on turf. There's a couple of those that are in that sort of bag. I think Island Vision's another one. Magnus as well, all beaten in the 2000 Guineas trial, would be much better off in this environment. But I don't know. Most of those are arguably already exposed. Magnus isn't, but Massive Star and Island Vision are both were well tried as 2-year-olds, and I don't know if they've got more to offer. Whereas you've got a horse in Commander Cole, it could be quite useful, maybe even smart, really. I mean, I was really impressed with him last time in particular. He showed a good turn of foot, and I think he could just be too classy. I agree, top score should be thereabouts. I'm a little bit surprised he's not actually having his chance in the 2000 Guineas on the dirt, because I thought he handled the dirt pretty well and he was bred for it. Maybe he does run. Well, he won't run it. It's on Saturday, isn't it? But yeah, I was a little bit surprised he's not in that on the dirt, because he did seem to handle it pretty well. Bar him, I think Dakik is relatively interesting. I know he's quite well regarded, and I haven't seen his debut at the Val in May, but he's certainly got a reputation. I'll be interested to see how he goes, and Mike de Kock does do well with his runners in this race. So, but yeah, I think I think it's Commander Cole's to win, really. He's the one to beat. He could be pretty decent, and I think he can prove it.
Yeah, he didn't impress me a lot when he won on his third start by 6 lengths. For me personally, I like Island Vision, a filly who's obviously getting 2 kilos from the rest. She was behind Really Special on her last outing. The thing that puts me off probably still 12, but now the return back to the turf, she's a good enough filly. She came third to Really Special in a listed race on the turf at Newmarket. So 7-1, I think I'd happily take her out of that lot. I think we'll move on to the Range Rover Sport handicap over 10 furlongs. Emotionless comes here as the 11-4 favourite. What do you make of that, Callum?
I'm not surprised he's that short. I mean, it was a better run last time in the Al Maktoum Challenge round 1, and this is a clear drop in grade, and I think he'll appreciate the step up in trip. He's instantly a horse you want to take on, though. I mean, he's clearly gone the wrong way since his 2-year-old days. When you look back at that form, it's probably not the strongest. You know, he's got enough to prove here, and 11-4. You know, it's hard to say there's much value in that. Not that saying he could easily bolt up and he could easily be a World Cup horse at the end of the year, but he's got a long way to do that. And you basically if you take it 11-4, you're hoping he's that already, and he hasn't shown enough to suggest he is. Doug Watson pair, I think, are going to be popular. Misbah, who won off, I think he was £4 out the weights when he won here last time. I thought that was very much his day. He's gone up another 5 for that as well. I think it's probably £8 or £9. He's higher than what he was rated before that race. I thought that was very much his day. He set a decent gallop in front, but he has to get his own way. He's got a wider draw this time, and like I said, I think that was a real potential flash in the pan, and I could see him bouncing here, so I'll be happy to take him on. Likewise, Lale, I'm not convinced really wants this far and is coming back on his return, so I kind of edged towards 999, who the South Koreans have shown some really good attitudes, and that's what's really been taken by them. I mean, the horse that was third in the Al Maktoum Challenge round 2 the other day was off the bridle miles out and still plugged on for third, and this is a similar horse. He's one of the best horses in South Korea in terms of form, and I thought he ran a really big race behind Hunting Ground over course and distance last month. I think Pat Cosgrave, if he could ride the race again, I think he would have probably got stuck into him more than he did early on. I think he'll learn from his potential mistakes there. The leader just got first run at him. I can see there being plenty of pace with Misbah on, which will suit, and if it is a proper test, I don't think many will fancy it, and I can certainly see him doing so. So I'm pretty tempted by 999, to be honest, certainly if he travels better.
Yes, I agree. It was a very good second. I think he stayed on nicely last time. So you agree with that, don't you, Gary?
I do, yeah. I thought he should have won the last day. But yeah, I mean, still nice, probably not ideal, but there's going to be, there'll be a bit of a rush on for the lead, you'd imagine. And like Callum said, Power Blade was off the bridle halfway last week and just grounded out for third. Me and Stephen Molyneux both backed him each way and were more concerned that he was holding on to third rather than who was going to win the actual race. But yeah, I mean, he's a similar sort of horse. He's a better horse as well, to be perfectly honest. So I can see, obviously Emotionless could be very, very well handicapped now, but I'm not, taking 11-4 to find out. Leo's got an okay record fresh, but I agree. I don't think he really wants to go this far. Mizbar likes to dominate. Stall 8, in that respect, probably isn't ideal. And of the others, I'm struggling really. I mean, Etijah was behind Hunting Ground and 999 last time out. I can't really see any reason why that form should be reversed. Interpret wins in his turn, but he's not the easiest of horses. Looking at the price, I suppose one that might be overpriced for all these, not a horse that I particularly like. At 16-1 will be top clearance because he's got a better draw today, or he will have on Thursday, than he did when he was 8th behind Hunting Ground and a few of the others last time out. But again, he's not the most consistent. So 999 definitely ticks that box. You just look at his recent form. He's yet to be at the first 3 in quite a few of his runs. I think only 1 or 2 of his runs actually in total, and he'll just keep galloping, and hopefully, again, 5-1, he's almost like an each way bet to nothing gain. So. 999 for me as well.
Yes, I somewhat agree, but I think the other Godolphin runner is more to look at. Alabaster, formerly with Owen Harty, he was 5th when last seen, but I mean his form, he came back last season and he was behind One Man Band, if I remember, quite a way away, but I mean he's franked that form massively, and he's off a mark of 100, should be fit now from his run 12 days ago. So I mean, I think the one to focus on out the Godolphin pair is probably Alabaster. But I think, like you, I will have to side with 999, so that's 3 of us are going with 999. He was a very good second against Hunting Ground, who these have all got a lot of collateral form, so we'll see how he goes, but I'm not sure it bodes well for all of us picking him. We'll move on to the Jaguar F Pace handicap over 6 furlongs. Fanan comes here from the John Gosden Yard, he's moved to Musaba Al Mahari now. He was a good horse in his day. He just hasn't lived up to that, even though he was behind Sovereign Debt by 2.5 in the conditions race last time out. And then you got Mastermind, who's saddled by Bernard Fade Herb. Last round 12 days ago behind Baccarat by 2.25. Good enough form, I'd say. He should improve bundles for that run. It's just that sort of like sprint we keep seeing throughout the entire few weeks. Is there anyone taking your eye here, Gary?
No, I thought this was the hardest race on the card. I thought obviously Fanan's had the odd issue because obviously he's only had 3 runs in the last over 2 years now. Those 2 runs in the UK last year were okay. He's a horse that might actually appreciate it out here. But they're all much of a muchness, this lot. Nadir was very disappointing on his first run out here. I think I don't particularly like him as a horse anyway. I know he's got some different headgear on this time, but I just don't like the horse full stop. Cue him bolting up. At least Christophe Soumillon's back on him. He rode him at the Carnival last year, I suppose. That's your angle there. Horse of Maximilian was a bit disappointing last week. But I can see him going okay. Jamesy, another horse who's usually fairly consistent, usually hits the frame more often than not, but slightly disappointed with him last time out behind Baccarat as well. Sam Hitchcock retains the ride on him. The other horse towards the front of the market is probably the horse I'll tip, actually, the Paul Measley runner, Line of Reason, who ran last week, actually, was 6th behind Speedhawk. All his runs so far have been over 5 furlongs. He's not been beaten far in any of them, to be perfectly honest. And obviously he goes up in trip to 6 furlongs, isn't it? Yeah, up in trip to 6 furlongs, which obviously he hasn't run over that trip for quite some time since he finished behind Gordon Lord Byron at the Curragh a few years ago. But he, I don't think the trip will be an issue for him. In fact, he has actually won over it if you go back far enough. So. I'll just go for him. Should point out the rails out a good bit. As I was departing the track on Sunday morning, looking out the window, the track was going out. It was about 10 metres, but I think it's out 12, I think. So the track will be much narrower than you're used to seeing, perhaps. What impact that could have on the draw. Well, going up on the draw after last week, I suppose. But anyway, Line of Reason will be the pick at 7:01.
Yes. Right. Any you like in here, Callum?
So what was just about the rail? So what have they moved it from?
It's out 12 metres from the inside. So
inside?
So it's yeah, it'll add distance to the round races. Obviously not the sprint track, but it'll obviously add a bit of distance. How much, I'm not just sure. But yeah, it's out a wee way.
Okay, that's interesting. I think we're second guessing about the draw now. I mean, last week's
still want to be
race.
high.
Yeah, I still want to be high, but
I blame
last
the rain
week's
for
race
last
has
week.
kind of tempered my enthusiasm, and I'm hoping I agree with you there that it might have been the rain, but I'm sure we'll
Good to
find
soft
out
that
more
ground
here.
by the end.
It was crazy, wasn't it? It looked like it was going down in steroids. But anyway, yeah, it's a tough race, isn't it? I can understand why Fanon is an early favourite, because he is potentially unexposed. Ran well twice for John Gosden last year after an absence. He's clearly had a few problems. To be honest, I think he arguably wants 7 furlongs, at least even a mile now. So I was a little bit concerned about the trip first time out for Masaba. So I was happy enough to take him on. There's a few just been running in similar races all season now, and you've got a fair grip of where they are. So Maximilian in particular, who's run well once and run less so twice. He's more a 5 furlong horse. I agree with Line of Reason. I thought he was rock solid. He's been running well. He's run well last 2 starts over 5 furlongs. He probably will be suited by 6 furlongs now. I hadn't tried 6 furlongs 6 furlongs for a while, but he's a winner over 6.5 at his best. So it'd be no issue whatsoever. I think a fast 6 furlongs probably might just suit ideally now. If the deer can bounce back from his last run, then he's got a cracking chance. I mean, he was £4 higher when second to Baccarat over course and distance last February. So it was a disappointing return. But if he bounces back in, I think the hood's on with the cheek pieces, then he could absolutely mop up in this. But he's a tricky horse, but no doubt has the ability. And I think there's a few that you can say that similarly to as well. Saïd is another one I'd probably put in that category. Drew Ratnam's got an okay record in these sprint races. He just seems to have the odd winner. I mean, obviously Speedhawk won last week. I think Roysad is in this race, won a handicap last year as well. So I could see him going well. And there's just a few that are going to be knocking on the door. Jamesy, the old boy, he's going to be thereabouts. I don't think he can win. Eastern Impact and Watchable are definitely well handicapped on their form. Haven't really shown enough yet to suggest that they're going to be winning anytime soon, but they've both been given chance by the handicapper. So no surprise if either of those two win. I found it a really tricky race. I thought Line of Reason tentatively was a selection, but I need to go through it more in more finer tooth comb than I have so far. But Line of Reason for now we'll go for.
Yeah. Personally, I think it's quite a hard race, as you say. My printer is the only race this didn't print out, so I haven't wrote any notes for it, which is incredibly helpful. But I did like Mastermind's race last time. I think 14 to 1's a massive price. He's installed 10. We don't know if that's going to be a good or a bad thing at the moment. We'll see how the rail plays out. And he was behind Baccarat, and I mean, he was just behind Jungle Cat. So it's like I think Mastermind's got a good enough grip on quite a lot of these, because I'm looking here, he's beat Jamesy, Watchable, Eastern Impact. I mean, I'd say he could probably beat most of these again. So we'll see how he runs, and for me, he'll probably be the pick for Bernard Fade Herb, who I rate as an incredibly good jockey. Yeah, I think we'll move on to the UAE 1000 Guineas now. Obviously, there's going to be a massive favourite in this. Really special is she just improved last time, and she was very good. You can't take that away from her. I thought Claire would have run a little bit better than that, but obviously in behind. There's a good Godolphin free pair in here. Do you like any of them, Callum, at all?
Yeah, look, really special. Should be winning. I was really, really impressed by her trial win, to be honest. She took a lot of the kick back from a lower draw. She handled it really well. She's already proven herself over a mile. She's quite a free-going horse, so I'll be a little bit more concerned when she steps up to the UAE Yoke Strip, but I think she'll easily be too classy for this lot. She could be really decent. She reminds me more of like an Itamal type than a local time type, and that she's got a future elsewhere than here, and it's not the best of bunch, really. She's beaten most of these in the trial already. I don't see what any of them will improve necessarily, and I think they're just going to have to make really special. Is going to have to disappoint for them to turn the form, really. We had a quick discussion about this race price wise before we started live, and Sasha Waltz, who was fourth in that race for the Swedish runner, that's a ridiculous price at 40-1. I mean, she ran really nicely in the trial. She had some useful form in Sweden, over a mile in particular, so the extra furlong is sure to suit. There's no way that's a 40-1 shot, and I think she's going to be knocking on the door. And I think Complimenti's a little bit too big at 10s. I had her second favourite. She ran a lovely race when second behind. Really special. I think she can do the same again, really. I think the extra furlong should suit. She's still a maiden, but she's running 2 competitive races on her first 2 starts. And arguably, Doug Watson's yard are in better form now than what they were at the time of that last race. So, I think the form, the 1, 2, 3, 4 that day can probably be around in a similar order this time. Claire, I thought, was a bit disappointing in the trial. And then I don't know what else, really. I don't see anything from other horses where they've come from. I don't really see them featuring. So I think Really Special will win. But certainly Sasha Waltz is worth an each way around 40-1. And I think Complimenti was probably the likeliest for the forecast again.
Yeah, so I do agree with your sentiments. We did like Sasha Waltz. First won a Grade 2 in South Africa and then finished second in a Grade 1. Not entirely sure the validity of that form, but 8-1 could be a little bit big. You liked Raja, didn't you, Gary?
Well, I thought there was a few that might be overpriced. I mean, Raja ran in the trial, obviously, finishing third. It's difficult to really see trying to perhaps reverse that form, but again, I just wonder about. And Callum made the point that she might not stay, and that would be the issue. But she got the plum draw again on the inside. Nobody's mentioned the Saudi Arabian raider, Nash Meyer, who Mikel Barcelona actually rode when she won a Grade 1 over this trip back on the 21st of January. So not actually that long ago, winning by half length. Prior to that, had won by 12.5 lengths in a pretty decent time. 1:39.59 was the time that they clocked. If you look at what was the time for the trial here? It was a good bit. Well, obviously it would be quicker. It was about 14 seconds quicker, so actually it was a fair bit quicker. But even still, you know that the horse will handle the dirt, which some of these probably don't. So I thought that was maybe interesting at sort of 40-1. But I agree with the Sasha Waltz project as well, because she was keeping on all the way to the line in the trial. Okay, she was beating a fair distance in the end, but she's better drawn as well this time around, which will help her. And going up in trip will not be an issue for her. So I think Nash Meyer and Sasha Waltz, both at 40-1, will be. I can't get hardly anything on the pair of them. Are both worth a few quid each way.
Win, lose or draw, you're going to beat the price. That's what's going to happen, isn't it?
Yeah, it's lovely to do that, isn't it?
No, they're all too well this carnival.
This one be sod all.
Anyways, we're going to the Range Rover handicap over 7 furlongs. I'm not entirely sure what to make of this one. I mean, first selection should bottom out from the front. One of you said that earlier, and I agree with that. We'll see how that goes. Flashfire would need a strong pace, but will he get it even if he's given 2 kilos away to Anaerobio and the like? I quite like Rennie Mathis in this one myself. Very good second on reappearance, and then given a little time to come to behind Flashfire. So yeah, I think he'll run a good race again. Any you like in here, Gary?
Well, obviously, Flashfire is a pretty short price favourite on the early price as well with Goss. Obviously, beat Rennie Mathis quite comfortably over this course and distance off a £5 lower mark on his penultimate outing. Was slightly disappointing, perhaps, in the Alpha 84, where Championship rather nicked it from the front under a pretty canny ride. But yeah, you do just worry whether there'll be enough pace in this particular contest. I didn't think there was too many that maybe wanted to go forward. Obviously, Salatine has made the running in the past, but he's stuck out towards the outside, isn't he? And he was disappointing behind Flashfire on his most recent outing, wasn't he? So he has to bounce back from that. Tahani was running a decent race on its penultimate outing when getting absolutely mullered in that handicap behind Fanciful Angel, and she didn't run too badly, I suppose. She wasn't beaten too far in the Cape Verde, but I mean, still beaten 2.5 lengths in the end, and was beaten by some horses that I don't know, just obviously this is a bit easier, but I don't know, I'm not completely convinced. So yeah, I actually came down on First Selection, who ran in the Maidan Classic, obviously, last year, finished 6th in that. A little bit too keen. Came back to the UK, obviously, running in Group 1s. Was second in the French 2000 Guineas, went almost making all the running, really. But battled on all the way to the line that day. 6th in the St James's Palace. I mean, he was highly tried last year, wasn't he? And he was 5th on the dirt on his first run at the Carnival behind North America a couple of weeks ago. I don't think the dirt really was for him, but I think he's got the plum draw in stall 1. I can see Pat Smullen riding him positively. And I just thought that he might be able to go to soft lead. So that was the angle, really. And in a race that I thought Flash Fire was definitely worth opposing at a short price. Thought First Selection, again, probably from an each-way point of view, would probably do, because some of those, I mean, we know all about the likes of Anna Robio and Johann Strauss. I don't think they've got any sort of secrets from the handicapper. And in Anna Robio's case, it's he's 9 now, so he's not exactly getting any younger, is he? So, this is us as a bit of a 7 furlong specialist, but he stuck out in stall 10, which probably won't be ideal. And he's having his first run at the Carnival. I mean, where's he been? So there's been a couple of races he could have ran in. So whether they've just waited for this one, I'm not just sure. But no, I'll take a chance on First Selection getting a soft lead out in front and making all the running. Yes,
I agree he'll make the running. I'm just not entirely sure if he'll be able to see them all off. One I think potentially to watch here is Sahafi. It's his second season in the UAE, which is always a plus. He won at Jebel Ali last season, beaten in Cypher by 2 1/4, then started sprinting in conditions against Krypton Factor, where he bombed out pretty much. But I think he'll be better over 7 furlongs again, and formerly with Barry Hills. I can't see him running an overly bad race, and it will help him build up something better. Who was that? Moving on, Callum, you like anyone here?
Yeah, I've just seen Sahavi's 25-1.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit.
Is that not absolutely huge?
Exactly. Back up to 7, he'll enjoy it.
Good luck getting your £3.50 each way on.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying. I mean, I had him a lot shorter than that. He looked really good a couple of times when he was with Barry Hills on turf. He actually bolted up in a Newmarket handicap back in May 2015, and he looked a superstar that day. Didn't quite go on from it. Maybe he's just an in-and-out horse, but he was really impressive when he made all at Jebel Ali back in March, then disappointed in the conditions event when going off favourite behind Krypton Factor. It's just whether he's going to be ready and fit, really, but I don't see 7 furlong really being an issue. The turn to turf certainly won't be an issue, and he's definitely got the ability in a race where quite a few don't convince. Flashfire, I'm happy to take on for a mark of 112. Firstly, the mark of 112, I think, is as good as he is, really. And also, I don't think he's going to get the pace set up. It was a messy race last time when he was behind Championship in the Group 2 Alpha Healy 4, but I think similar might happen in this, and he's a horse I think hits a bit of a flat spot, and he might actually get away with it again. I think Tack is potentially really interesting. She shaped so well on that first start behind Fanciful Angel over a mile. Then thought the tactics were really bizarre last time in the Group 2 Cape Verde 2 weeks ago when she led, and Christophe Suma was really keen to lead. I mean, she was drawn really wide, bottled her up from the start, and seemed really insistent on doing so, even though there was a fair bit of pace in the race potentially. And so I'd like to see her rein back slightly, and I think the drop in trip should actually suit her. I think she'll be handy, and I didn't see much pace in the race, like I said, so I think she would probably be a bet for me. But I think This Is Us is a horse I followed very closely throughout last year. I think he won 5 times in the end for Richard Hannon. I'm not a fan of backing Hannon horses away from England, really. He has a poor record with international runners. I don't think he's had a winner here before. Certainly Junior hasn't. I don't think Senior has had either. So I'm very happy to take This Is Us. For all I like the horse, he's drawn 10, but he's a hold-up horse, so it shouldn't really make much difference in that regards. And maybe Rennie Matters I thought was interesting. Richard Fahey has had a winner at Maidan in the past couple of years, and they do seem to run well here. And that was a lovely run behind Flashfire last month. Probably wouldn't upgrade that as slightly, but he's on better terms with Flashfire, and I think he'll probably improve for it. So I think he could be knocking on the door. He's on a handy mark given what he's done previously in Britain. So I could see Rennie Mattis certainly going quite well at a decent each way price. So for me, it's Tahani, Rennie Mattis, and maybe Sahafi if that price stays around. But I'm certainly happy to take on Flashfire.
He's even taking my selections now. I must be doing something right. Yes, I said I liked Rennie Mattis. He ran a stormer in second. And, he did lose out to Flashfire, but he's now got the £5 pull, which will ultimately, I think, help him. He should be at least placing, and so should Sahafi. So, me and Callum are unfortunately going to side with 2, so we'll move on swiftly from that. I don't want to talk about that again. The Jaguar F-Type handicap. We're over 9 furlongs here. Godolphin have about 50 in this race. Secret Brief, Classic Selection, Best of Times, and Folkswood. Any of them you like, Callum?
There's a few that I like more than others of those Godolphin lot. What is it? Did you say there was 5 or 4?
4, sorry.
4. Best of Times is an absolute cliff horse of mine. I backed him so many times last year without any success, so I'm desperate to get my money back at some point. He's without doubt well handicapped for me still off this mark. He was a listed winner in 2015. It just didn't quite go right for him last season. I think the trip is ideal for him, to be honest. 9 furlongs is absolutely perfect. It looks like he's slightly down the pecking order on jockey bookings, which tempered my enthusiasm slightly, but he's certainly got the ability. Folkswood, I thought, chucked the race the other day behind Ortigiano, came there to win in the first time cheap pieces and didn't want to go past. I'm happy to take him on. Secret Brief ran well behind Fanciful Angel. I think maybe an extra furlong will suit him now, so I'll put him on the short list. And I was happy enough to take on Classic Collection, who won our local handicap here 2 weeks ago. Didn't travel a yard in that race. He was really being bustled along from an early point and somehow got Barut on the line, which is devastating for a Barut backer and myself. So
it was painful, that was.
That was painful as hell. I was watching that on my phone as I'm watching Thistlecrack and Many Clouds at Cheltenham, which is a weird 3 minutes of my life, definitely.
Funny enough, I was at Cheltenham doing exactly the same, yeah.
Anyway, we digress. I think this is a really competitive race. The Botti pair are quite interesting. Kalachi Gala shaped really well on his debut for Marco Botti at Lingfield last month. He could be quite interesting. Brex Drago also shaped with some encouragement behind Ortigiano, but I think both do have to improve probably off those marks. But Marco Botti is capable in these sort of races. I don't think you can rule out many, to be honest. Ella Val should be thereabouts. Good Trip's another one I think will benefit from the drop back in Trip. Order Combat ran really well behind Fanciful Angel. I don't think you can rule many out, and so I'm kind of struggling in this race, but I'm gonna I will back Better Times because he's just a massive cliff of mine. So yeah, I'll probably just go for him. Secret Brief, I think, maybe the most likely winner, but he's short enough for me at 4-1.
It's not a good system. It's not a good system to try and follow the horses that have let you down. So don't do it, kids. Best of Times is probably the best horse in the race. I like Oisin Murphy and Said Bin Suroor. They do work really well together. But the thing that has caught my eye the most here, just looking, Kalachi Gala has got Christoph Simeon on board when he could have picked either of the Said Bin Suroor pairs. So that says a lot to me. Do you like any in this one, Gary?
Like Callum said, I thought it was quite open, to be perfectly honest. I thought when looking at the prices now, Kalachi Gala is potentially overpriced at 14s. But there wasn't many I could completely rule out, to be perfectly honest. I thought most of them had some sort of a chance, albeit perhaps not some of the rank outsiders. The likes of your Start Right. I mean, if he's winning this type of race, I think it is time to give the game up. I'd probably just go for All the Combat, who, as Callum points out, was a good second here behind Fanciful Angel. Okay, that form didn't work out, but that Fanciful Angel is always a horse that, catch when he comes out here fresh and when he's very well treated as he was when he's won here twice now. He ran in some decent handicaps last year, and obviously he was He ran in the it was Rob Beaton, wasn't he, in the Britannia, but was beaten behind Franklin D a couple of times at Newmarket and Goodwood as well. Solid, decent handicap runs. 5th behind Acclaim again. Not beaten too far. It's at the September meeting at Ascot, and that was a good run the other day over a mile. I think the extra 300 meters. Sorry. Extra 200 metres, isn't it? Extra 200 metres will help him as well, extra furlong. He's run over that distance before, so it's not going to be an issue for him. I think he shaped as though he wanted to go up to that distance as well last time out. Got a good draw as well towards the inside. Wasn't sure where the pace was going to come from, to be perfectly honest, but either way, with Pat Smullen on board, hopefully he'll get a good early position, and at 8-1 in what is quite an open finale, with Godolphin obviously having quite a big string in the race. I saw 8-1 all the combat each way. 3 places will do me.
Decent, yes. I can't look for one myself. I can't find one because, as we say, it is so competitive. I'll more than likely go with Kalachi Gala then, purely on the fact of Sunyon, and I don't have a clue in this one. Have either of you looked at Saturday by any chance?
No, I
had a brief look. I thought Acolyte was interesting going on to the dirt, considering there are 2 turf races they could have ran him in this week.
Yeah, that's weird.
I thought that just seemed to stick out for some reason, and that race looks pretty winnable, to be perfectly honest.
Every time Bentley's on, though, you've always got to watch. It does so well.
Obviously, we've got North America in the Firebreak Stakes to look forward to. The Turf Sprint on Saturday, I thought, was another one that just looked a bit odd. Just an odd race, full stop. I seen Adiz in again. Polly Bias is I backed last week and ran no sort of a race. And Vityan turns up when he wants to. Seems to be at the moment. I thought the Staying race was pretty weak again. I thought Dylan Mouse going up in trip would be quite interesting. He ran on quite well in that the 10th furlong race last week behind Shan Shawwez. And there's the mile handicap as well, which I thought was quite interesting. But again, I'm not sure the same as Callum. I haven't had time to have an in-depth look. Obviously, got the 2,000 guineas as well by Godolphin again, very well represented. And they got 4 of there. I think they got 4 of the 11 runners, and the 2,000 guineas, obviously a race that they've got a good record in as well.
Yeah.
I could certainly see Logout Island potentially bolting up in that
making all
handicap, making every yard like he did. He looked a machine that day at Newbury. I think that was second time out that race, dropped to sprint trips, but he just that sort of free going horse will be best fresh, and he could absolutely bolt up on that potentially. Again, I'm really looking forward to North America in the Firebreak, as well as Confrontation. He looked pretty decent at times last year when he was with Kieran McLaughlin. I think he's now with Saeed. And I'm also interested to see how Dundonald gets on the dirt. I think that's quite interesting. No idea how he's going to take to it. I know he's run on. I think he ran pretty well the other day on the Sharkey dirt, but I think it's more an all-weather surface.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So that we'll see, but he's really interesting. And another one I mentioned, I think Philosopher in the local handicap could be really interesting. So. Get good value on this podcast, you do.
I don't suppose you've looked at the President's Cup at Abu Dhabi, have you?
No. Isn't it?
Verzak P1 and Bombay de Faust.
That means nothing to Callum.
Yeah, I know.
I thought you meant there's the turf one. It's fine. It's all right.
Okay.
There's the listed. That
is not a great listed race.
Is it?
No, rated 105, and it's Hawkesbury.
Mr. Hodge was with Haggis. I love finding out all these different horses that go out there.
A key champion looks like a machine at Abu Dhabi, and then when it comes to Maiden, it doesn't see off its races, so he could probably win that.
Yeah, he beat Gamma there the other day, which
did you?
Easiest thing to do.
Anyway, I think that about wraps it up. Thank you very much to Callum and Gary for being here.
No dramas.
Pleasure.
And this week there's going to be no UAE racing competition, along with next week, as I'll be out in Dubai myself, and there will be no podcast unless Gary and Callum would be able to get on themselves. So yeah, thank you very much for listening. We hope to put you in the right direction. Good luck, everyone. Tschüss, later, a day.